The theater lights dimmed, and a hush fell over the America's Got Talent studio. Even the restless murmurs of the crowd faded into an expectant silence. The night had already delivered laughter, drama, and surprises, but no one was prepared for what was about to happen next. Two young Filipinos stood in the center of the massive stage, clutching hands. They looked small beneath the towering golden arches of light that framed the iconic AGT stage. The older one, perhaps in his late teens, wore a neatly ironed white shirt, a little too big for his thin frame. Beside him stood a girl, barely 16, her trembling fingers gripping the hem of her simple dress. Simon Cowell squinted, studying them. "Hello," he said in his usual composed tone. "Who are you?" The boy leaned toward the microphone. "Good evening, sir. My name is Carlo, and this is my sister, Althea. We're from the Philippines." His accent was soft but clear, and his words carried both nervousness and pride. "Welcome to America's Got Talent," Sofia Vergara said, smiling. "How are you feeling tonight?" Althea's eyes glistened as she answered, a little nervous, but happy to be here. "This is our dream." Simon tilted his head. "What will you be singing?" Carlo took a deep breath. "We'll be singing a duet, You Raise Me Up. It's very special to us." There was a pause. Simon's brows drew together slightly. "Why is it special?" Carlo looked down for a moment, then raised his eyes to meet Simon's. "Because it's the song that helped us survive the hardest time of our lives." A ripple of curiosity ran through the judges' table. Heidi Klum leaned forward. "What happened?" Carlo swallowed. "We lost our parents during Typhoon Rai. Our home was gone. Everything was gone. We used to sing with them every Sunday, and this was their favorite song." A collective gasp filled the theater. The audience grew silent again, dead silent. Simon nodded gently, his expression softening. "Take your time, whenever you're ready." Althea glanced at her brother. He gave her a reassuring smile. Then the gentle piano intro began to play. The first notes from Carlo's voice were fragile, almost breaking, but with each word, something raw and powerful emerged. His voice was a blend of pain and grace, echoing through the theater like a quiet prayer. When Althea joined in, her soft tone melted into his, creating a harmony so hauntingly beautiful that the audience leaned forward unconsciously. Together, their voices carried more than melody, they carried memory, loss, and love that refused to die. "When I am down, and oh, my soul so weary." The way they sang wasn't polished like trained professionals. It was pure, real, the kind of singing that made hearts ache. You could feel the storm they'd survived in every note, the sound of rain against tin roofs, the wind that had torn their world apart, and yet, within it, the faint light of hope that refused to fade. Simon's expression changed. His usual stoicism cracked as his lips parted slightly, eyes soft with emotion. Howie Mandel placed a hand on his chest, whispering, "Wow." By the time they reached the chorus, Althea's voice soared, fragile, trembling, but angelic. Carlo's deeper tone wrapped around hers, steadying it, like the way he'd likely protected her when the world collapsed. "You raise me up, so I can stand on mountains." The words felt like a promise between them, a vow that even in their lowest moments, they'd lift each other up. The audience began wiping tears, unable to look away. And then something happened that no one expected. As they sang the final verse, the big screen behind them lit up with photographs, images submitted by the show's producers after hearing their backstory. Pictures of destroyed villages, flooded streets, and a small wooden cross that marked their parents' graves. But then came one photo. Carlo and Althea standing barefoot amid the ruins, smiling, holding a handmade sign that read, "We will sing again." The entire auditorium went silent. Even the camera operators stopped moving. The siblings' harmony swelled and filled the room like sunlight after rain. When the song ended, neither spoke. For a moment, the silence was so deep it hurt. Then the crowd erupted. People stood. They clapped, cheered, screamed, cried. Even the tough-looking security guards backstage wiped their eyes. Sophia had tears streaming down her cheeks. Heidi was crying openly, her hands clasped under her chin. Howie just shook his head in disbelief. And Simon Cowell sat completely still, staring at them. Then he stood up, slowly. "You two," he began, voice low, almost breaking. "That wasn't just a performance. That was a message." Carlo blinked, unsure how to respond. Althea wiped her tears silently. Simon continued, "You didn't just sing a song. You brought your parents back into the room. I don't say this often, but that was one of the most moving auditions I've ever witnessed in my life." The crowd roared louder. Althea began sobbing, burying her face in her brother's shoulder. Carlo bit his lip, trying not to cry. Heidi stood up, her voice trembling. That song is about lifting someone up, and tonight, you lifted all of us. Every single one. Sophia nodded, crying too. I can feel your pain and your love in every word. You are both stars. Howie added, you've proven that sometimes, music is stronger than tragedy. It's the voice of survival. You made us all believe again. The audience began chanting, softly at first, then louder, golden buzzer. Golden buzzer. Simon looked at his fellow judges. Then he turned toward Carlo and Althea, a small smile spreading across his face. Do you know what happens when something truly magical happens on this stage? He asked. Carlo and Althea looked at each other, confused. Simon leaned forward and pressed the golden buzzer. The confetti burst from above in a golden shower, sparkling like falling stars. Carlo and Althea fell to their knees, crying and laughing as gold rained down on them. The entire crowd was on their feet, cheering through tears. Simon walked up to the stage, a rare gesture, and hugged them both. You've reminded me why this show exists, he whispered to them. Their story didn't end there. Within hours, the video of their performance went viral across social media. Headlines read, Filipino siblings bring AGT audience to tears. Simon Cowell moved to tears by Typhoon survivors, Duet. You Raise Me Up, Reborn, from the rubble to the world stage. News outlets in Manila replayed their performance again and again. Comment sections flooded with messages of love. Proud to be Filipino. Their parents are surely smiling from heaven. This is what true music sounds like. Within a week, they were invited to guest on multiple talk shows. Ellen DeGeneres sent them a message. Josh Groban himself shared their video with the caption, "This is why I wrote the song." But behind all the fame and applause, Carlo and Althea remained the same. They stayed in a small apartment the show arranged for them, still cooking rice and sardines the way their mother used to. Every night before sleeping, they sang softly together, just to feel close to home. During the semifinals, Simon visited them backstage. Are you ready for tomorrow? He asked, sitting beside them. Carlo smiled shyly. We're nervous again, sir. Simon chuckled. That's a good thing. It means you care. But I want you to remember something. He looked at them seriously. You've already won. The world has seen your hearts. Tomorrow, just sing like you did that first night. Sing for your parents. Althea nodded tearfully. Always. The semifinals came, and the arena was packed. The world was watching. This time, they sang an original song called Home Again, written by Carlo about rebuilding their lives after the storm. It began softly, just Althea's voice, then swelled into a hopeful anthem about faith, love, and the strength to begin again. Halfway through, the entire crowd began waving small Philippine flags someone had handed out before the show. The atmosphere was electric, yet sacred. When the song ended, there wasn't just applause, there was reverence. People felt something deeper than entertainment. Simon stood again, eyes glistening. That's the heart of music. You've taken your pain and turned it into light for everyone else. The siblings didn't win the competition that year, but they didn't need to. They had something far greater. Offers poured in from around the world. They were invited to sing at benefit concerts, humanitarian events, and even the United Nations World Relief Gala. They used the money they earned not for luxury, but to rebuild their small village in the Philippines. A new school, a small music center, and a memorial for their parents. And every time they returned home, they sang, You Raise Me Up, beneath the same stars they used to look at from the ruins, now shining over new roofs, new lives, and new hope. Years later, during a special AGT reunion episode, Simon introduced them once again. These two young Filipinos reminded the world that music can heal the deepest wounds, he said. Please welcome back Carlo and Althea. The crowd rose to their feet even before they sang. They performed, You Raise Me Up, one more time, older now, more confident, but still with the same purity. And when they finished, Simon was visibly emotional. He walked up and said softly into the mic, You raised us up. The crowd roared, the lights dimmed, and somewhere, beyond the stage lights, two parents in heaven must have been smiling, knowing their children had turned sorrow into a song that touched the world. And in that moment, every tear shed, every heart moved, every soul lifted, it all began again. For as long as voices like theirs exist, the world will always rise again.